Right, I'm back. Frankly, I don't know how anyone drives in a Formula position because good gravy, it's hard enough getting out of a proper racing seat. How anyone gets out of one that's reclining. Right, Knockhill, 46 flat. The tailiest of happiest, taily happy cars. Wish me luck. Oh, sorry, 2 secs. Must turn on base shakers. Got 'em. Might as well use them.
Partial match found in Sim Experience database. Profile modified.
Oh, well, it's the easiest car to get out the pits with. It's fine, it's fine. Tyres are cold. Oh, hello. Right, might need to go back to the BMW wider, slightly wider turn in there if it's gonna do that to me. Let's flash the lights to show our intent and see if we can leap the curbs. Oh, hello, that might be too much. Inevitably, the car feels a bit more floaty at the front end because every time we take off, we've got an engine trying to make us do backflips. Oh, it's good out of there though, which is important for passing. Yeah, I intentionally, I think you're right about the BMW, about it being closer to BMW markers, but I intentionally went front engine, mid engine, rear engine to not, you know, that seemed like a better progression to me than going front engine, rear engine. Oh, okay. Actually rides that okay. I mean, whether that's because I'm nowhere near my limit yet remains to be seen. It's definitely good through Clark. Feels nice and planted. So I can brake much more where I'm braking in the Ferrari, but I'm using the BMW line into the corner. Hybrid style. 46.8, or 46.9 really. Scrabbles for grip a bit there, but that was a nice enough run off. Oh, too much, too much. Yep. I suspect I won't be the only one putting it in the fence there. I am becoming a Porsche fan. I really did not get on with this car, to be honest, because of its unusual engine layout. You know, all the other cars are much more similar to each other, and this is a bit different. But once you drive it enough to understand its flow, which I've done with your help as well, it just presents a slightly different challenge, doesn't it? With its prodigious drive traction, but floaty feeling and the change of direction. But I also think it's important when you're heading backwards into a hedge. I mean, this car looks cool, so you can look good while you're crashing. Oh, that's a touch ambitious. I think I'd rather take the 1X in a racing situation than try and pinch the line too much into there though. really could have done without being against the traction control, but we were. So just having to be a bit more careful on the way in to the first corner. Need to get it slowed down a bit better there. Just a quick dab of the brakes, fire it over the curb. Oh, that was nice. Get it slowed down because it's got great drive traction out there. Still not timing that particularly well. Yeah, I've gone back to taking the Ferrari turn-in line there. I need to take the BMW, the very fractionally later turn-in. So you can use the blue line on the pit exit as a sort of guide marker about where to start setting up for the first corner. How was that not better? Still not perfect, but so just looking to be a fraction off the curb. Yeah. Okay. It was what, 3 thou faster? Nearly burst into Westlife's Flying Without Wings there. Save everyone that. See, it's now become all about Clark. So I want to say Clark Curve, but that's the corner at Brands, isn't it? But that uphill turn and this final corner, oh, much better drive traction, but slower. Yeah, so BMW later turn in to the final corner. Oh, that felt good. Didn't translate in the time though. Right, we might have to examine this final sector. And this, you know, this is the purpose of the data. Oh, hello. Right, we've finally got a slowdown. Right, so let's look at the fast lap.
We need to slow down, give back some time.
Because I can pound around all day, but if I don't know... Yikes, that's loud. If I don't know what's going wrong and where it's going wrong, it's going to be tricky. So we did a 607 and a 603. So I'm just going to look at both of those and see how different, if at all, the laps were. Big chunk of curb. I think that one might have been an off track. Made me miss the corner slightly. So not a great run through the first sector. Okay, your guess is lighter braking and deeper into the final corner. Okay. And I missed Clark slightly on this 607 lap. See, that's the BMW line. I feel I need to get the car turned back slightly later so it's a bit straighter, because obviously this thing, its advantage is the power, the drive traction. Flew the car less, was more controlled that lap, meant I got in there much better. So this is the lap we're going to be looking at. Probably didn't get the turn back quite as good. Yeah, no off track, but definitely missed the entrance to Clark. And I think you're right. I think the time is going to be lost predominantly here, and it was just wide. Hideously wide. Fatally, horribly wide. Right, let's go. So 46 flat. So even in the hands of an actual professional, it's not as quick. Just do a quick refresh, just in case. And go. I'm just starting to learn how to use this thing without fumbling around all the time, and they're going to bring out the new one, aren't they? Right, here we go then. So, interesting. 1/4 of a second in the first sector, and once again the guy is not using all the road as he turns in, but he's definitely carrying more speed in and not flying the car over the curb. So there's probably something in that, I would say. And then braking here. So the two in the other cars where I've been losing time here by pinching the line a bit, I've been gaining it here and through the off of turn 3, I guess it is. In this case, I'm actually losing in both areas. So I'm braking a little earlier because I'm flying the car over the curb. Although I'm more in the throttle, it's not translating. It's translating to a fraction quicker down the hill, but I'm then losing again in the turn off here. You can see he's squaring the turn off a fraction more and using the drive traction. So the flow that I had in the BMW with the big front engine pulling you down the hill, and the stability that gives you rattling the big red curb, and also the prodigiously famously well balanced Ferrari in the same area, this car is a different proposition. It's a different puzzle. So I think I will try a wider turn in. I've been hammering the curbs for how long have we been at this? For 2 hours and 2 minutes. So it's going to be interesting trying to change that habit, but we'll see what happens. Here, quite a different line over the turn 5, but the result is 4 milliseconds difference. Whether I'm doing any damage to the car, I don't feel like I'm going a lot slower. It doesn't look like I'm hurting the racing car, but he is very definitely not running up and through the bollards. I don't know whether this was the car he recorded first and has worked on it with the other ones, but you can see I'm taking massive amount more speed in, and he's gaining a bit from the middle and off. I guess if you're driving this car, try both ways. The lines converge. That's the important thing to remember. So we're both rattling the exit curb. If you're unsettling the car by rattling the entry curb as well, he's probably got 2 wheels on it, but I'm all the way over it. So experiment with the line and see what happens with the flow. Right, here we go into Clark. 5 k's an hour difference. I'm a bit better on the way out. I'm not braking quite as hard, and he's had a big old, because he's up the inside, as the car sort of comes up and the camber flattens out, he's had to come out the throttle, whereas I've been able to build the throttle. I'm not too worried about that. That's a 1/2 tenth. We can see where the problem areas are. Look, I'm losing half of my time in the first complex, and I'm losing the other half of my time in the final corner. So, Liam, let's examine. I'm braking a fraction earlier. I'm not braking quite as hard. I'm braking up to BMW and Ferrari limits. So I need to get in the pedal a bit harder. And he's had a second stab at this. And he is actually driving the car much more up the inside. And then living with, I mean, look, this is where depending on your limit and your ability, this data becomes good to chase the time, but possibly slightly, look, you can see he's got a lot of lock turning the car in, but this snap here is a big old catch and he's hard into the throttle here. So if you're going to try and copy the line he's driving and don't have the ability to catch the car on exit, and I would say watch the relationship with the steering wheel as he gets off the corner. So hard on the brakes, second, first, turn the car in, applies the power, big catch, twice, sort of catches it, then it goes again, then he has to catch it. Oh, sorry. That's a very good point. Let me sort that out. Good point, well made. I've been pointing out the steering wheel loads. Hold on, how do I turn this off? Bam, there you go. Let's try that again. Oh, yet another scene I need to make. So as the power goes on, big catch, then he has to put more wheel in it. So that line might be the fastest, but it's, you know, it's possibly a, well, you know, as I say, depends where your skill level is. Right, so I know I need to work on the first sector and I need to work on the last sector. So I'm going to try and mimic what he does in the last sector, and I'm going to try driving, missing the curbs in the first corner. And we'll see what happens. I suppose I can move my, if my face is even relevant on the replay, I can move my face cam up and out the way or something. Make it float around and have cat ears and that sort of thing. I might try his line up through the jump as well, in the interests of trying to find the best flowing line, most sympathetic to the race car. Let's give it a go. So right, down into here. Well, it's stuck. So let's see. Right. Oh, that is not, that is a halfway house jump. Interestingly, this is where the rallycross track goes. Just, you know, out of interest. You prefer my line up through the jump? Yeah, no, fair enough. But, you know, like, if the purpose of the practice is to work on the line, let's have a go at it. Right, let's see about this. So I really want to miss that red splodge altogether. I basically need to think, so he's sort of doing, yeah, I don't like it either. And you know, see, this is where it brings up the point about the data, and it's the reason why I like to not have the delta bar on and all the aids and stuff, because I'm looking to plot my way around the racetrack based on my own style. These single lap guides where someone's done a bunch of laps and they go, you know, brake at this blade of grass to 46% brake pressure and all of that sort of stuff, that to me is of no relevance to me, because if I don't drive the car like that, I'm going to chase my tail for ages trying to do something that goes against my natural rhythm and flow. However, there's definitely something in the way the car is getting through the first corner and through the final corner, so let's just work on those for now. more brake pressure. Not enough talent to catch the car. We'll start by introducing the gas a bit slower and see if that helps. Right, missed the curb. It was nearly better. And you see, this sort of stuff leads me on to the point about your mental approach to practice. I think people go out and drive their normal rhythm, lap after lap, and then they don't get any better. And it's because this sort of stuff is taxing and frustrating at times, because you're trying to change your natural habit. Your natural habit will get you around the racetrack at a certain speed. In order to go quicker, you've got to unlearn things that you do naturally, and you've got to consciously practice different, better things. The balance here is between edging up on it and not ending up in the fence so many times that you get frustrated and just turn it off, and actually doing something different. And that's why, for me, it's essential to go back to the data, because if you don't keep referring back to the data, you will just revert back to your bad habits. Oh, too ambitious. Was not ready. Oh, jumped on me funny. So, you know, like all of this stuff can seem like a backward step, but I need to change my rhythm if I'm going to go quicker. So and there's different times where different sorts of practice I think is beneficial. You have to be in the mood for this sort of stuff. You have to, whether it's half an hour or an hour or 2 hours or whatever you want to do, probably 2 hours at a go might be a bit long, but you have to sort of be in the mood to say, right, I'm going to consciously try and get used to the car being looser, or I know from the data I can take the car into the corner with more speed, so I'm going to incrementally work on that. I'm going to move, maybe that's just blending out of the brake a fraction earlier so that you're carrying a bit more apex speed. Maybe that's braking a half a car length later. Just creep up on it. There we go, that was a tighter line, and whilst it's not yielded more than a couple of hundredths, it's shown me that it's possible. Oh, I hit the inside curb, which was a shame. I am definitely a fly the curbs. I'm in favour of that rather than the wobble round it. That's not for me. It nearly stuck. I think I need to try and use the face of the hill to slow the car down that last little bit. Too late. Car sliding at the rear. Gained a bit on the way in, lost it all on the way out. Not what you want to do onto the only straight or the fastest straight on the racetrack. I definitely think that's got potential. I think you need to sort of clear the brake and allow the car to do that last part of the rotation right at the apex. Oh, 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 it slid a bit on the change of direction. Oh, shame. Did not get it turned. But the potential's coming, and it's coming because I've not accepted that my rhythm is what it is. I'm very slightly changing what I'm doing. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, because we're talking fractions, but it's the fractions that make a difference. And I think it's the fractions that become the hardest thing to find. Oh, yikes. And consequently where people get stuck the most. And I think if you can concentrate on the incremental gains, if you can gain a half a tenth in each corner, I mean, not so much around here, the place is tiny, but around most tracks you'll be a second a lap quicker. If you can gain a tenth, you know, there's... Oh, that's too late. Right, come on, focus. Let's try to be better.
That puts you 1.2 seconds off your best.
Gotta miss that inside curb. That's killing me at the moment. Oh, didn't get the change of direction done. And once all this work is done, and this is where I would suggest doing the conscious practice in stages. Once you've found a rhythm, you sort of want to take a break and then come back to it, because obviously one lap does not a race make. And then you want to try and be within a couple of tenths and settle into a rhythm. And even if that rhythm is a half a second slower, if you can lap consistently, if you can find a way of getting around the racetrack without it being too taxing, and with you doing the same thing, you'll be safer. Your elapsed time in a race will be better. You'll be more predictable on the road, which will make you harder to pass and less of a target. And that should lead to better racing. Final corner is killing me in this thing.
You're now 0.24, slower than your best.
Too wide. Right, brave, brave, brave. Right, I'm going to modify my line because
Now 0.13, slower than your best.
I mean, it's got me in the 46s, and I'm a bit happier now. I've got used to jumping the curb. I'm still favouring jumping the curb. Oh, that's no good. Down into turn one, but I'm now hitting it a bit better. But the final corner is not working for me in the way the VRS guy's taking it, so I'm going to try going a bit wider. Yeah, it's a big time loss, isn't it? I think it's got to be up the inside. So this is where my area of focus for this car needs to happen. And because it's not coming quickly, I imagine this is the sort of sector of the road in this car. Oh, that was a shame. Where I'm going to need to use this session to lock in everything else. Like, I'm hitting the jump pretty good each time. I've found a nice rhythm through Clark. I'm getting much better at the first corner of the track. So if I can lock all of that in, I can then focus solely on the one problem area. Yeah, see, 1300ths. It's a lot around such a small track. Oh, that was a nice line. Touch wide into there. Every time it's the same amount of time, isn't it?
0.07 off your best.
Oh, great time gain through there. Oh, I didn't get it to change direction. I think I may be braking a little late now. Yeah, let's try. Let's bring the brake marker back a fraction. I think
You're now 0.36, slower than your best.
I'm definitely getting through. Oh, that's loud. Definitely getting through turn one better now. So let's not plough around, and so let's just go quickly and examine the actual quickest lap and compare it to what I'm doing at the moment. It looks ridiculous jumping the curb like that, but you know, so be it. Using all the road though. Driving down the left-hand white line, we've learnt that today. Exactly. But what I wanted to do was just compare that lap with, where's the most recent? Let's try that one. So, what, 800ths slower, there or thereabouts. Let's see if we've learned visually anything. So, already I'm more settled coming through here. So just by repetition and just hitting that curb a fraction different. I couldn't even tell you what, but that's the rhythm part of the driving. I don't need to micromanage what I'm doing through repetition of lapping. I'm not looking at this, and I'm not looking. Oh, stop. I'm not looking at, you know, I'm using this sort of blue line as a rough gauge to make sure I'm lined up, but I'm not actually sort of consciously looking, even though that appears to be about where I start the turn. But it's just all of the peripheral vision through repetition is allowing me to hit that curb better. And that wasn't an off track. It must be blooming close to it, but I mean, that's ideal through there because it straightens me up. I missed the exit a fraction. I mean, that wasn't a perfect run through there. I missed the red curb slightly, but it's now safe. It's safe and it's pretty quick, and I'm pretty consistent through there. I'm quite consistent through Clark, even though I maybe missed the apex a fraction, but the car drove off the corner better. So it really is now this corner, and it feels to me like it's all at the apex. Oh, hello. That's what it feels like. Yeah, no. So I'm going to have a quick look with that 683 against VRS guy, and then I'm going to compare myself to myself. 653, sorry. So slower lap, but let's have a look. So still losing in turn 1 and 2. So yeah, really might need to examine that, but gained half a tenth. It's, you know, but this is what we're interested in. It's all on the brakes, isn't it? See, I was thinking in my head, I'm thinking drive traction is my problem, but drive traction isn't the problem. The problem is I'm still not braking hard enough. You could drive around all day, I would fancy, thinking to yourself, I'm not getting off the corner as well. The other guy's more experienced in the car. He knows how to get the power down harder than me. You know, I'm still in 4th to start with. So let's go and have a go. I've taken my gloves off. I thought that was it, but let's go and have a go at not being a wuss into the final turn. And at this stage, I'm not actually worried about putting a lap together. I'm going to put all my effort into the final corner. Oh, it's a 0x. It's fine. It's fine. No one saw anything. I didn't even take the wing mirror off. And therein is the value of the data. And for me, it's about personal improvement, but it's also about using your own precious free time in you know, in an intelligent way. And by looking at that data, I could have done another 50 laps. I would have sworn it would have been the turn off the corner, the drive traction, when actually I'm losing too much time by not braking the car properly. Story of my life. I need to brake later into T1, do I, Liam? Oh, later and harder. Well, that worked, didn't it? Oh, bouncing about a bit. Shh, we're up loads. Shh. Okay, we lost a bit with the slide. And we've done our fastest lap. Oh, who knew? Oh, that's wildly ambitious. Shortcut. I highly recommend everyone tries the rallycross track around here because it's a doozy. Right, so I'm going to have to find a new braking reference, but yes, I very much am still able to get the car stopped by braking later. And again, it's not a massive amount. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. 15 k's an hour at 200 odd, 250 k's or whatever we're doing is not a lot, you know. I'm just braking a fraction later and a fraction harder. Oh, that's fun in this car. There we go. We gained time off the corner that time. Do you know, I think we've cracked it.
That puts you 0.18 off your best.
I mean, we can't do it consistently, but we've cracked it. Bit deeper in on the brakes. And I'll give you what I believe is the reason why that's possible, and the reason why it's taken me so long to find it. It's the pendulum effect of the engine in the arse of the race car will allow more rotation, which is why I can get it in and it will still allow me to turn the car and then use the drive traction, use the car's strengths.
You're currently 0.21 off your best.
You've still got to clear the brake and make sure that you flow the car down that section. Try not to overrun that corner like I did, because the drive traction will always outweigh the fraction you gain on the way in. Oh, hello. Best to drive on the racetrack where possible. Don't know if that needs to go down as one of them pro tips. So right now I'm using a piece of tyre mark on the road, which isn't ideal, but if I can use that to get my braking spot and then find an alternative reference for that, that would be best for the race. Keep the brake on, power. Getting a touch leery with it now. Yeah, see that? With a bit more finesse, that's going to work nicely. And surprisingly will put me proportionately as close to VRS Guy in the car I drive the least, which is this thing. Yeah, so there we have it. Right, I shall attempt to go faster, but I can feel my talent tank is running on fumes. Okay, concerted effort.
You're now 0.7 slower than your best.
Yeah, too cautious. So it's interesting actually, by braking early you don't have the weight on the nose, which obviously in this car there isn't a lot of weight on the nose anyway, because all of the noisy oily bits are at the back. So by releasing the brake pressure, because I've braked a bit early, that's actually counterproductive in helping the car rotate. I need to be braver on the brakes to make sure I've got more brake pressure percentage on as I get down here. And that's too much, and then we've gone too far. But that act of braking later, and have I actually gone faster? Let's have a quick butchers. Yeah, we did. So let's examine that. And then, what am I doing? And then put a fork in me. I am definitely done. Right, let's go. And he drove into the pit wall. So more aggressive on the brakes. Yeah, not bad. Had a bit of a hop, but we got away with it with a liberal use of accelerator. I like that uphill Clark corner, that's a nice one. And then, oh, hello, let's go back. Let's see where the brakes are being applied. Not a lot later, actually. It'll be interesting to see. I'm using this as a reference, but it's not a lot later. So let's go see if that's made any difference in the lappery. It's not going to be there, is it? Right. Is that what we're looking at? 46.3. Oh, I've been robbed of a thou on here. Right. Okay. So yeah, look, here we go. Turn 1. Doing it my way. This is all different. Losing a bit here, but much happier. For the way I flow the car, this is better for me. If I was to specialise in this race car, maybe I'd be able to hang it out wide. I'd be in slightly more control of the rear. Again, here, you know, he's faster off, but I'm way quicker in. So happy with the time difference. Therefore, this stuff becomes less relevant. It's more relevant when you're trying to chase the time. Clark, yeah, you know, he's a bit faster off that previous corner. You're not passing between Clark and into here unless somebody makes a huge mistake, because the other car is inevitably going to be a car length behind you and a car length later on the throttle. My trail braking's real nice into here. Ain't you proud of that, Liam? I certainly am. And I'm picking the throttle up as I'm finishing the trail braking. I'm still crossing my feet over, which is a perennial problem of mine, but they do it too. Not to the extent I do, but it's hard to time that element of it. And whilst I'm picking the throttle up easier, I'm all but no difference down the straight. I'm actually holding a slightly tighter line than him. And look, we've taken a chunk out of the deficit here, which I'm really pleased about. And I'm now holding the brake pressure much more similar, actually. And this, you know, this 1/10 is tricky. He's apexing ever so slightly later. Yeah, I think personally, Duncan, I cannot believe, nothing in my mind says that crossing your inputs over under braking is best practice. I think it's just hard to do. I was talking to a buddy of mine last night about this. You're flat out on the accelerator. I think your brain is focused solely on where you hit the brake, because, you know, obviously a couple of meters late on the brake and it's quittens. So I think what we do is we focus so much on the brake that we all start applying, or most of us start applying brake pressure as we lift. And the act of coming out of the pedal is where the crossover comes. It seems easy to just start to lift just a fraction earlier, but with all the other stuff going on, it is proving difficult. I mean, I will often say the longer you've been driving, the more set in your ways you are, the harder it is to change what happens naturally. If you steer too much and too aggressively, the chances are it's going to be a hard habit to get out of. I've clearly been crossing my feet over for years, and it's only when you start looking at the data And this is the whole thing about the conscious versus unconscious practice. I'm trying to get up to speed round Knockhill, knockers, as we call it, maybe. So I'm focusing on what I'm doing over the curbs and all of that sort of stuff. This is what I mean about your conscious versus unconscious brain. When I'm left to my own devices, my feet go straight back to doing what they are doing. I completely agree with you, Liam, that there is definite merit in working both pedals at certain points. And in fact, as far as my understanding goes, as you're coming out of the brake, because you're holding the weight on the nose with the brake pedal, to complete the grip circle, you want to start applying the throttle as you come out of the brake, just to keep the weight transferring around the outside of that grip circle, which we probably won't see much in is that it? We probably won't see it much here, but this is the traction circle. So you hit the brakes, the weight moves forwards, and then you want the weight to transfer around the outside edge, and the act of crossing your feet over is what helps keep the weight connected on the loaded outside tyres as you transition back to drive grip. But I think we'd probably all agree that doing that on the way into the corner, if you are on the gas while you're on the brakes, you're pushing the car into the corner. I can see no merit for doing that, and it's a habit I need to get out of, and it's a habit that's hard to change. And as I say, you can see it here. I mean, we are doing almost identical stuff. I don't know this Pashesh, however he pronounces his name. I haven't looked him up, but you'd almost put your money on him being 8 or 9k I rated. But I cannot believe that if you were a real race car driver, and in fact, you were a Formula 1 driver or a top GT or Le Mans driver, and you were crossing your feet over like this, they wouldn't be telling you to stop it. I think, personally believe that's a bad habit. And where it becomes the most noticeable is in the F3 car, because that car's a lot lighter. As I'm trying to get that car decelerated, that's where I have to really consciously turn my attention to coming out of the pedal as I brake, to get the car slowed down. So, for what it's worth, I think the fact that they do it in the data is for the same bad habit reason as I do it in the data. But something to keep an eye out on. Anyway, where are we? 2 hours, 42 minutes and 50 seconds of me waffling. I think that's more than enough. I am definitely out of talent. Just going to have a quick last look at my lap. It was a good session. I've enjoyed that. Knockhill is super fun to drive round. What's it going to be like to race round? I reckon if you can survive turn 1 or lap 1, but these cars are too big for this, let's face it. It's hard enough with one racing car around one line. But yeah, practice some too wide for sure, because there'll be enough of that. And it'll be a good place to get used to soaking up pressure, because you'll be able to keep people behind, providing they don't punt you in the back. There we go. Anyway, on that note, it's been a blast. I'll see you all, well, tomorrow for Open Wheel Wednesday for some F3 round wherever the F3 car is. And if not, happy racing, and I'll catch you all later. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.